This video is presented by BuddhistQuotes.blogspot.sg. 1,800,000 myriad millions of naked ascetics from other traditions arrived at the place where the Blessed One was and said to the Blessed One, Ascetic Gautama, Sir, be victorious. The Blessed One said, the Tathagata is always victorious. Sirs, heretical nudists, how could you heretics be victorious? They said, may you be victorious, Ascetic Gautama. May you be victorious. The Blessed One said, I see no victor amongst you. If you abide in a wrong way, how are you to be victors? You naked ones, listen as I express something to benefit you. To a childish mind, there is nothing pleasant. How are you to be victors? Therefore, with a Buddha I will teach also the profound path. Then those naked ascetics became angry at the Blessed One and generated a mind of disbelief. At that time, at that moment, Indra, the lord of the Devas, wielded his thunderbolt. At that, those 18 million naked ascetics were overcome with fear and stricken with great suffering. They wept and their tears began to flow. The Blessed One also made his body disappear, and at that, the naked ascetics sobbed and their faces filled with tears. Not seeing the Blessed One, they spoke these verses. There is no friend to defend us here, likewise no father and no mother. What we see is like a wilderness, no vacant house or place to stay. Nor is there even water here. There are no trees, nor any birds. Here no living beings are seen. With no protector, we feel suffering. Since we do not see the Tathagata, what we experience is greatly unbearable. Then, at that time the 18 million naked ascetics arose and knelt with both feet on the ground. They raised their voices and sang out, Tathagata, endowed with compassion, complete Buddha, supreme among humans, please do what will benefit us. Be the refuge for beings in despair. Then the Blessed One displayed a smile and said to the Bodhisattva Sardashara, go and explain the Dharma to the heretical naked ascetics from other traditions. He spoke thus, and the Bodhisattva, the great being Sardashara, said to the Blessed One, if the Black Mountain demolishes its boulders prostrating with its peak to Mount Sumeru, the king of mountains, how am I to teach the Dharma while the Tathagata is present? The Blessed One said, be quiet, child of the lineage. The skillful means of the Buddhas are many, so go, Sardashara. Look among the world systems in the 10 directions and see where Tathagatas are appearing and where there are seats set up. Sardashara, I myself will teach the Dharma to the heretical naked ascetics from other traditions. The Bodhisattva Sardashara said, Blessed One, by whose supernatural power shall I go? By means of my own supernatural power, or rather by the supernatural power of the Tathagata? The Blessed One said, Sardashara, go by the blessing of the strength of your own supernatural power. Sardashara, come back by the Tathagata's supernatural power. Then the Bodhisattva Sardashara arose, circumambulated the Blessed One and disappeared on that very spot. Then the Blessed One taught the Dharma to those heretics from other traditions. Friends, birth is suffering. Birth itself is also suffering. Once one is born, there arise many fears of suffering. From birth, fears of sickness arise. From sickness, fears of aging arise. From aging, fears of death arise. Blessed One, what is it to say that from birth, fear of being born will be born? From being born as a human, many fears arise. Fear of the king arises. Fear of thieves arises. Fear of fire arises. Fear of poison arises. Fear of water arises. Fear of wine arises. Fear of whirlpools arises. Fear of the actions one has done arises. The Blessed One taught the Dharma in many forms, such as this topic of birth, and at that time, at that moment, the heretical naked ascetics from other traditions were utterly terrified and said, from now on, we will never again aspire to be born. When the Blessed One explained this Sanghata Sutra dharma-paryayas, the 18 million heretical naked ascetics from other traditions fully completed the unsurpassed, perfect and complete enlightenment. From his own retinue as well, 18,000 bodhisattvas were established on the 10th grounds. And they all emanated supernatural displays as well, such as the form of a horse, the form of an elephant, the form of a tiger, the form of a Garuda, the form of Mount Sumeru, and forms like the pattern of a swastika, and some displayed the form of a tree. They all sat cross-legged on lotus thrones as well. 9,000 million bodhisattvas sat down to the right of the Blessed One. 9,000 million bodhisattvas sat down to the left of the Blessed One, and the Blessed One remained in meditative equipoise the entire time, and appeared to teach the Dharma through skillful means. On the 7th day, the Blessed One stretches out the palm of his hand and knows that the Bodhisattva, the great being Sarvashvara, is coming there from the paramount world system. When the Bodhisattva, the great being Sarvashvara, was going to the paramount world system, by the blessing of the strength of his own supernatural powers, he arrived there in 7 days. When the Blessed One stretched out his hand, at that time the Bodhisattva Sarvashvara was in the presence of the Blessed One. After circumambulating the Blessed One 3 times, his mind became inspired with pure faith in the Blessed One. He placed his palms together, bowed down to the Blessed One, and said this to the Blessed One: Blessed One, when I went to all the world systems of the 10 directions, Blessed One, by one of my supernatural powers I saw 99,000 million Buddha fields, and by 2 supernatural powers, I saw 1,000 million Blessed Ones. On the 7th day, I arrived at the paramount world system, and on the way, I also saw hundreds of thousands of millions of unshakable Buddha fields. Then, Blessed One, first I saw the supernatural displays of the Buddhas, the Blessed Ones, and I saw Tathagatas teaching the Dharma in 92,000 million Buddha fields. And on the very day, in 80,000 million Buddha fields, I saw 80,000 million Tathagatas, Arhats, perfect and complete Buddhas arising in the world. After making prostrations to all those Blessed Ones, I went further. Blessed One, on that very day I passed 39,000 million Buddha fields, and in those 39,000 million Buddha fields, there also arose 39,000 million Bodhisattvas. And on the very day, they were completely enlightened in the unsurpassed, perfect and complete enlightenment. I circumambulated those Blessed Ones, Tathagatas, Arhats, perfect and complete Buddhas 3 times, and became invisible by means of supernatural power. Blessed One, in 60 million Buddha fields also, I saw Buddhas, Blessed Ones. Blessed One, I made prostrations to the Buddha fields and to the Buddhas and continued on straight away. Blessed One, in another 8 million Buddha fields, I saw Tathagatas producing the deed of passing into nirvana. After making prostrations to those Tathagatas as well, I continued on straight away. Moreover, Blessed One, in 95 million Buddha fields, I saw the disappearance of the holy Dharma, and, Blessed One, I became distressed and burst into tears. Moreover, I saw Devas, Nagas, Yakshas, Rakshasas and many embodied beings of the desired realm weeping, pierced with great agonizing pains. Moreover, similarly, Blessed One, after making prostrations to these Buddha fields together with their oceans, with their Mount Sumerus and with their land, that were all without exception burnt, I fell into despair and left. Blessed One, up until I came to the paramount world system, Blessed One, I saw 500,000 million thrones set up, 100,000 million thrones were set up in the southern direction. I saw 100,000 million thrones set up in the northern direction, 100,000 million thrones set up in the eastern direction. $100,000 million thrones set up in the western direction, and 100,000 million thrones set up in the upper direction. Also, Blessed One, those thrones that had been set up are made solely from the 7 precious substances, and on all these thrones, 2. Tathagatas are seated and teach the Dharma. I was amazed at those blessed ones, and so I asked those Tathagatas, what is the name of this Buddha world system? And those blessed ones said, child of the lineage, this world system is named Padmatara. Then, blessed one, after I had circumambulated those Tathagatas, I asked the name of that Buddha field Tathagata. They said, the one called Tathagata, Arhat, perfect and complete Buddha Padmagarbha performs the activities of a Buddha in this Buddha field. Then I asked this of them, since there are many hundreds of thousands of millions of Buddhas, and since I do not know the Tathagata, Arhat, perfect and complete Buddha Padmagarbha, which is that one? That Tathagata said, child of the lineage, I will show you the one called Tathagata, Arhat, perfect and complete Buddha Padmagarbha. Then the bodies of all those Tathagatas disappeared and they appeared only in the forms of Bodhisattvas. Alone Tathagata was apparent, and I made prostrations with my head at the feet of that Tathagata. As soon as I went there, the throne appeared, and I went to that throne. And, blessed one, at that time many thrones appeared, but not seeing anyone on those thrones, I said to that Tathagata, blessed one, I do not see any sentient beings at all on these thrones. And the Tathagata said, sentient beings who have not produced the root of virtue do not have the power to sit on those thrones. I said, blessed one, after sowing what kind of root of virtue does one come to be on those thrones? That blessed one said, listen, child of the lineage. Sentient beings who have heard the Sanghata Sutra dharma-paryayas by that root of virtue will sit on these thrones, and there is no need to mention those who have written it out or read it. Sarvashara, you have heard the Sanghata Sutra dharma-paryayas and therefore you are sitting on this seat. Otherwise, how would you have entered into this Buddha field? That blessed one spoke thus, and I said the following to that blessed one, how much is the mass of merit that will be produced by those who hear the Sanghata Sutra dharma-paryayas? Then the blessed one, the Padmagarbha Tathagata, displayed a smile. I asked that blessed one for what purpose that blessed one displayed a smile. Blessed one, what is the reason and for what sort of purpose did the Tathagata display a smile? That blessed one said, child of the lineage, Bodhisattva, great being Sarvashara, he who has attained great power, listen. It is as follows. To make an analogy, someone is a wheel-turning king ruling 4 continents. If he plants sesame in the fields of the 4 continents, Sarvashara, what do you think about this? Would many of his seeds grow? Sarvashara said, blessed one, many. Shugata, many. The blessed one said, Sarvashara, from those sesame seeds, a sentient being would make a single pile, and some other persons would take each sesame seed from that pile of sesame seeds, one by one, and place it aside. Sarvashara, what do you think about this? Would that sentient being be able to count those sesame seeds or make an analogy of them? The Bodhisattva Sarvashara said, blessed one, he would not. Shugata, he would not. He would be incapable of counting those sesame seeds or making an analogy. Likewise, Sarvashara, apart from the Tathagata, no one else can make an analogy for the mass of merit of the Sanghata Sutra dharma-paryayas. Sarvashara, it is as follows. To make an analogy, even if as many Tathagatas as there were sesame seeds should all declare the merits of the roots of virtue from hearing the Sanghata dharma-paryayas, they would not come to the end of that merit, even through an analogy. That being the case, there is no need to mention one who writes it out and reads it and has it written. The Bodhisattva Sarvashara said, blessed one, what sort of mass of merit will be produced by the one who writes it out? The blessed one said, child of the lineage, listen. Someone cuts up all the grass or wood of a galaxy of 1,000,000,000 world systems to the size of a mere finger width and, Sarvashara, listen to a second analogy. 2. If as many stones or cliffs or earth or particles of dust as there are in the galaxy of 1,000,000,000 world systems were to become wheel-turning kings ruling 4 continents, Would it be possible for someone to make an analogy of their merit? Sarvashara said, Blessed One, it would not, except for the Tathagata. Similarly, Sarvashara, it is impossible to make an analogy for the mass of merit of the one who writes out the Sanghata Sutra dharma-paryayas either. Compared to the mass of merit of that many wheel-turning kings, one who writes down even just one syllable of this dharma-paryaya and sets it up will produce a much greater mass of merit. Those wheel-turning kings are not like that, although their merit is extremely large. Sarvashara, likewise, the merit of a bodhisattva, a great being, who remains upholding and practicing the holy dharma of the Mahayana cannot be overshadowed by a wheel-turning king. Likewise, an analogy cannot be made for the mass of merit of the one who writes out the Sanghata Sutra dharma-paryaya. Sarvashara, this Sanghata Sutra reveals treasuries of merit. It pacifies all that is delusional. It makes the lamp of all darkness blaze brightly. It defeats all the wicked maras. It makes the abodes of all the bodhisattvas blaze brightly. It brings about the complete accomplishment of all darkness. He spoke thus, and the bodhisattva, the great being Sarvashara, said to the Blessed One, Blessed One, here the practice of celibacy is a very difficult practice. If one wonders what the reason for this is, Blessed One, the Tathagata's practice is rare, and likewise the practice of celibacy is also rare. At the time when one engages in the practice of celibacy, one will see the Tathagata directly. Day and night, one will see the Tathagata. At the time one sees the Tathagata directly and looks at the Tathagata day and night, one sees the Buddha field. When one sees the Buddha field, one sees all the treasures. When it is one's time to die, terror will not be born. One will not be born in a mother's womb at all. One will not become sorrowful at all. One will not be bound by the noose of craving. He said this, and the Blessed One spoke thus to the Bodhisattva, the great being Sarvashara. Sarvashara, the arising of Tathagatas is rare. He said, Blessed One, it is rare. Shugata, it is difficult to find. The Blessed One said, Sarvashara, likewise this Sanghata Sutra dharma-paryaya is also difficult to find. Sarvashara, anyone whose ear this Sanghata dharma-paryaya falls upon will recollect past lives for 80 eons. For 60,000 eons, they will attain wheel-turning kingship. For 8,000 eons, they will attain the position of Indra. For 20,000 eons, they will be born equal in fortune to the devas of the pure abodes. For 38,000 eons, they will become the great Brahma. For 99,000 eons, they will not fall down into wrong realms. For 100,000 eons, they will not be born among pretas. For 28,000 eons, they will not be born among animals. For 13,000 eons, they will not be born in the form of an asura. Their death will not be brought about by weapons. For 25,000 eons, their wisdom will not be distorted. For 7,000 eons, they will exercise wisdom. For 9,000 eons, they will be handsome and lovely. They will be just like the form bodies accomplished by the Tathagata. For 15,000 eons, they will not be born as a wife. For 16,000 eons, their body will not be stricken with illness. For 35,000 eons, they will possess the divine eye. For 19,000 eons, they will not be born in the birthplaces of Nagas. For 60,000 eons, they will not be overcome by anger. For 7,000 eons, they will not be born into an impoverished household. For 80,000 eons, they will be active onto continents. Even when they become impoverished, they will obtain this sort of happiness. For 12,000 eons, they will not be born in a birthplace of a blind person. For 13,000 eons, they will not be born in bad migrations. For 11,000 eons, they will be sages propounding patience. Also, at the time of death, when the final consciousness ceases, they will not have incorrect perceptions. They will not be overcome by anger. In the eastern direction, they will see as many Buddhas, blessed ones, as there are grains of sand in 12 Ganges rivers. In the southern direction, they will see directly 20 million Buddhas. In the western direction, they will see as many Buddhas, blessed ones, as there are grains of sand in 25 Ganges rivers. In the northern direction, they will see directly as many Buddhas, blessed ones, as there are grains of sand in 80 Ganges rivers. In the upward direction, they will see directly 90,000 million Buddhas, blessed ones. In the downward direction, they will see directly as many Buddhas, blessed ones, as there are grains of sand in 100 million Ganges rivers, and they will all say to that child of the lineage, "Child of the lineage, you have heard the Sanghata dharma-paryayas, and therefore in future lives, there will be this many good qualities, benefits and happiness." Therefore, do not be afraid. Saying that, they will reassure that person. This video is presented by BuddhistQuotes.blogspot.sg.